Hello, hello. This is Kristina, your host today. And this is a new episode of KSM Podcast, Growing Business Online with Kristina. And I'm super excited to have my special guest speakers today, far away from Australia, Lady Lyndi MacRae. Lyndi is a coach and business strategist. Lyndi, welcome to a new episode of KSM Podcast.
Thank you so much for having me here, Kristina. It's a pleasure to connect with you, and congratulations too on your being number 20 on the podcast listings. It's very fantastic work you're doing.
Thank you so much. And what I wanted to say, that thankful to my special guest speaker, amazing entrepreneurs, offline, but mostly online entrepreneurs. This is such a great content, and audience just really wanted to listen that. It's so valuable because this podcast is so focused on growing business online and connect people on international level, and where it's a place where my guest speakers can share their stories, which is going to influence other people to start business or just learn from you, all of you who were my guest speakers. And Lyndi, I'm super happy to have you today. And I mentioned that you are from Australia. Can you tell us a little bit about you, who you are, what you do, about your business? Share with us.
I'd love to. Thank you. So I'm in Queensland, Brisbane in Australia. That's where I'm located at, on a beautiful property with lots and lots of trees. And I am into the web. So my business name became IntoWeb back in 1998. That's the name I registered for me, because I started getting into building websites back in 1996 and started a mum-to-mom chat group. So the number 2 is a little signature thing I use in a lot of my branding. It's IntoWeb, mum-to-mom chat. I've got wisdom to wealth systems, and it's all the number 2 in there. So yeah, I've been involved in the digital marketing space, online marketing space for many, many years now. Well, since 1996, 1998. And I've, in 2009, I went through a major life change and had to, I had the marriage breakup, became a single mum with 3 kids and needed to re-find myself. So I got into doing lots of network marketing events and online trainings and all those sorts of things to reskill and tap into, all of the marketing changes that had happened, because I'd gone off doing websites for a little bit when I was having my 3 kids, but I still did direct selling. So I became into direct selling, and back then it was DK Books and Learning Journey stuff. So that was a really great learning environment. And then I did scrapbooking, and then I ran scrapbooking retreats. So I've always been involved around running events and things like that. And then 2009, I was working with a client and was onboarding them to run events around Australia and putting the systems in place. So a big focus for me in marketing online is having the systems that support you and make it easy for you to do business online. And I call those click easy solutions. We want it easy for people to be able to connect with you and for you to collect their details, and then easy for them to be able to convert to a sale with you if they're interested in buying your product, bring it through that way. And then obviously there's follow-up. So you might have heard, and people may have heard, there's money in the list. It's not necessarily about having tens of thousands of people on your list. It's about having a quality list. And one of the reasons why I wrote this book, which you can see up behind me here on my picture, Demand B.O.S.S. B.O.S.S stands for Business Operating Success Systems. For me, when I first started writing this book, it was B.O.S., Business Operating Systems. And someone else said Success Systems. And that's a real good point to put in for me, because I'm all about empowering those who come and work with me, or in the space communities that I'm in. It's about empowering them to be able to share their message and do what they love. So a lot of people say, I just want to do what I love. I just want to deliver my services or my products. And it's like, that's great. And to do that, having the systems to support you. So I've got a little bit of a brain quirkiness that goes on in me. So systems really support me to function and operate. So my calendar is, my lifeline. If it's not in my calendar and scheduled, I can forget things. So everything for me is blocked in my calendar to organize me. That's one of the little operating systems I use. So within the operating systems of running a business online is little micromanagement tools and systems you can have that support you. And one of the things I got into in the digital marketing space was the automated marketing, so marketing automation. So I became a specialized, that's where I specialized in, and it's what I love doing, and making sure that it's not salesy, not spammy, it's very personalized, and it's not complicated. And a lot of, in the past, I've observed and seen lots and lots of people spend thousands of dollars, and, you know, I'm talking good chunks of money, 10K, 30K, on systems and websites and things that weren't really what they needed, but they got sold on what they thought they wanted. And the person, you know, they're in business too, but these people end up in this world of pain. And a lot of the time people come to me when they're going, oh, I've had all this pain and they just can't take it anymore. So they come through and I just bring it, strip it back and go, right, what have you got? Where are you at? And we look at the systems that are in place, and then we go, well, here we could fill this gap or fill this gap. Now that brings me into, in business, when you have a business, whether it's a hobby business, you're starting out, there is a customer journey that your sales, your people will have. So you've got to look at that customer journey and go, what is that? And that's what the book talks about. And that's where I was touching on the collect leads, convert, and create fans. And in that is a customer journey. So you would all probably be aware of, you know, the freebies that you see, come and get these 7 tips for XYZ type thing, or the best, here, 10 tips for the best podcast. That becomes what's called a landing page and has a form, and people can put their name and email in and get the checklist, the videos, the resource, whatever that is. And then you're moving them into that next phase and so on through the journey. So does that make sense? Have you experienced that, Kristina?
Yeah, because, you know, I run my team for the web and graphic design more than 13 years. And I started in coaching as a digital marketing coach 5 years ago. And you said, and we've done many WordPress websites, we build it from landing pages and digital marketing, also, and graphic design for corporate identity. But yeah, I'm so familiar with this. But yeah, when people just want a landing page, but I didn't work too much an automation system, just like email marketing, because if you create something, it was like much more that people, in terms of web creation, you know, just create for them, and they can put some kind of automation system which they wanted to use. So, and I really love what you do, because we have some similarity in our business. But I always say I wanted my competitors to join me in do joint venture partnership, you know, and that's it, you know, because we are all unique and we have our different systems. So every single person is different in different approach and strategy. So and every person is going to have their own clients, you know.
Yes, that's true. There is many systems. And there's no, and I don't believe in there's right or wrong ones, but there are some that are just better for you. And, you know, when I first started, I started off with using MailChimp and was, you know, piecing all that together and things. But even then it was, and I was teaching and training. So when people work with me, it's not only the strategy that we talk about, it's the systems we talk about, but it's also actually implementing it. So my difference is I take you through that whole journey of that strategy. What is the strategy? You know, what is it that you're wanting to do? What are you wanting to achieve? And that's the end goal. And then you unpack that to go, right, well, if I want to sell this product, what is it that I need to do on all those steps before that? And again, that's the customer journey. It's like a little timeline, and some people can be ready to buy from you right now. Do you make it easy for them to be able to buy from you right now? That's people in the top 3%. What about there's another 7%, and then there's 70% of people might not be ready to buy from you today, but they might tomorrow, next week, months, or even years. I've known people be on email lists. So the one that I was working for 5 years with the events and things, we had people on that database for 2 years. And then suddenly one of the emails that got sent out, they were ready to take action on it. So, and that was really exciting to see them suddenly bubble up and wake up, because, you know, we hit the right market to message match in that particular instance for them. So it's good to have those systems. They're not a, you must have this from the start. There is a time and a place when you bring them in. And of course, if someone doesn't have a business as such, I'm not going to put them into full-blown marketing automation systems unless it's appropriate for them and what they're doing. And some people can be moving from corporate world. So it's not that they're financially at zero, but they're just now moving out of that into their own. So I look at them as not really a startup as such, because they've got years of experience and expertise and knowledge. And then it's just, how do you actually package that up to deliver it online and create yourself those predictable streams of online income? And that's where my Wisdom to Wealth coaching program came from, where there's an online training which runs for 5 weeks, and people in that time build out an online something for them, whatever it was. If they want to deliver an online coaching program and they've been doing it one-to-one and they want to go to group, that's how you can leverage your time and have a system behind you, and then have it so it's easy for you to deliver that over and over. So I've got a client doing it at the moment. She's running a free 5-day challenge, and we've set it up so that she's got the email reminders and communications that go out for her automatically. The event starts at 5, an email goes out at 4:45 with the link for people to join. So it's click easy for them to get that email and come through. And because they've said, I want this, they're more attuned to receiving emails. And the big point in email marketing, and people go, oh, I don't like emails and I don't want to send emails and things. But when someone wants the information from you, and then if you're withholding it and you don't have that email communication connection, building the relationship, building that community space, bringing them into your community, then they're left out there floating around, and they will go find someone else who does meet that need for them at that time. So by not sending emails out, you're holding yourself back, and you're also not sharing your beautiful stories and information with other people as well.
Yeah, and this is really amazing, you know. And when you mentioned someone, for example, who was in corporate business, who were there, and did you have some connection with that? And were you in corporate business before you started your journey, and what triggered you? Because this is a point just for our listeners to listen, because there are people who just wanted to move and they're in stuck, or they have such a great experience, work there for more than 20 years, for example, and then get into and then they want to start their own business journey.
Yeah, so I don't have a corporate background, unless you call nursing. So one of the things in my past was I was a enrolled nurse, then I became a registered nurse, and then I worked in operating theatres. So I had to have a really, really high code of conduct and ethics in that as well with my practice, because operating theatres, very clean space. I was sharing that story to someone the other day. Anyway, that's a different story.
We will do that maybe next podcast. We will do another. Yeah,
plenty of stories.
Not? Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
people love to hear your story, because every single story has got listeners, and audience could be influenced by every story, you know.
Yeah, so I haven't actually personally worked in corporate office or anything like that. So my journey started back in primary school as an entrepreneur with after school activities of hobby text painting. And when I then left to go to high school, I went back and I supported her to run the groups. Then I became the youngest Hobbytex reseller, representative, whatever you call them, back then. So I was 16, 17, selling, doing direct selling. So that's what I got into. I've always had this entrepreneurial drive. I've been in banking. I've worked in the National Australia Bank. I worked in the back end of there, and I've worked in a factory creating coil winding transformers, winding copper wire onto these things, just sitting there, like a sewing machine, but making these transformers. I've worked in a pet shop. There's lots and lots of different experiences I've had. But what got me back into the web was my daughter was born with clicky hips. So I went searching, and that's hip dysplasia. And she was quite severe. And because of the circumstances, I couldn't get out of the house a lot. So I created that mum to mom chat. And then online space, we had, I created a critter adoption center, which was little tiny graphics of things that I used to make. And there was these things back then called guest books. And you could sign people's guest books and stuff. So we created all these little communities, and this was all just mums getting together in Australia and over in the States or Canada, where the main groups of people were. And that was on ICQ chat. And I don't know if anyone in the listeners know, but it used to go, uh-oh, when a message would come through. And my husband at the time, it used to drive him nuts, because that was the days of dial-up internet as well. So you could never ring Lyndi, because she was always on the computer chatting to these people and looking for things. And with my daughter with the clicky hips, there wasn't any resources online. So I created them. So I then became a support person for people going through what I went through. And they were very grateful for the tips I shared and everything. And that wasn't a money thing. That was just freely sharing. Then I started building websites and things too. But yeah, the corporate world side of things is very, very different to entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs have this innate drive that they just go. And there was a period there too of that I was being mentored through, going, you've got to hustle. Hustle leads to burnout. It's not about hustling. Yes, at the moment, in that moment when you're doing something, you have a certain speed and you may work faster or slower, but it's important about having balance. And that's now why I'm also building a separate side business as well, which is Aztec Healing. And because I've been on a big personal development journey because of the life circumstances and things that happened, it was quite traumatic. And I was at a point of I wanted to die. Every day I would wake up saying, I want to die. I don't want to be here. My kids kept me alive. So why did I go into business on the web? And I'm goosebumping here. It was because of my 3 children. It was to be able to provide for them, to live for them, to make sure that I could be the best mum that I could be. Sorry, I'm getting a bit emotional here. So that was a real strong factor. And I can still remember my son saying to me one time, he was about 12, and he said, Mum, when's it going to get better? And that again was fuel to my fire of, right, I've really got to make this work. And for me, it was that balancing act of kids, business, clients. So I used to work very late at night. I'd be kids' mum during the day. And then my evenings, once the kids went to bed, had their story times, I became, right, I've got to get this stuff done. And I would go to seminars. I did a lot of training to skill up. And I've always personally felt, and I know it's not necessarily the truth, I always felt a little bit lacking in the understanding of corporate world. But since, in my journey, I've worked with a lot of people in corporate world, and the corporate world, that started with one person, a one-person entrepreneur idea that was able to then grow it and grow it and grow it. So they started out as a single person with an idea that said, maybe this is possible. Maybe I could do this. So it's just, again, having that strategy first, whether you're, wherever you are in your journey of it, always coming back to strategy. Even when you've been in business for 5 years, if you have a new concept, it starts with the strategy, the planning, and then taking the action required to achieve it. So, you know, if you're looking at going, well, how can I develop and build? You know, yes, it is an extra load because while you're working, you're building. But us as humans, we can do an amazing amount of things. This operating system we've got up here that we can program and reprogram, more importantly, because in our first 7 years of our life, we get programmed. And then it's a matter of reprogramming ourselves so we're operating and living that life that we choose and desire. And online systems are a way of you being able to tap in. There's a lot of free tools. There's a lot of low-cost tools. It doesn't have to be expensive bells and whistles and things like that. So an example of that, Kristina, is if you have a domain that you register, then you get Google Workspace, and that's a paid account, and that's under $10 a month. You can also then have a Google site. So you can have a domain email, which means emails are going to your name at yourbusinessname.com versus
such a professional email.
Yeah, so it's professional. So it takes you out of that hobby mode. So if you've got your business name at Gmail, but you've got a domain, then get yourself a domain email. And it's going a little bit techie here, but when you register your domains and whoever it is, sometimes they offer the domain email within them as well. But sometimes they can also lock you in and own you a little bit. So you've got to be careful. I always buy direct from Google, so it's a separate thing from, you know, being underneath something else. But there are resellers. I'm actually a Google reseller myself, so that if, you know, people need help getting that domain name registration and domain emails and things set up, I can help them.
So this is for our audience who will listen to this episode with Lyndi. Just connect with Lyndi and she can help you with domain. And as a business strategist, she can help you to start your business, or if you are in stock, is that correct? Because the point is that we just really need to do what we love to do, but sometimes we cannot know how to do it. Sometimes we want something, but we don't know how to start, how to move forward. So Lyndi is a perfect person to help you to start and to overcome your gaps, you know, and structure your business.
Yeah. So what I did, Kristina, at the beginning is when I was doing all that study and all those events, like one of the first things was obviously learning social media and Facebook, because that's when it was just starting to blow up. So I then went and studied and learned, and then I helped people out for free. Then I added low cost. Then, you know, eventually over time, my pricing and packages evolved and it went up. So I would be helping people get their social media, you know, their Facebook pages and things set up, and helping them with graphics and stuff like that, teaching people Canva, and back in my time, it was, Canva didn't exist. So you had to have Photoshop or some graphic editing tool. So these days, there's so many tools that empower you to be independently strong, but it is about investing in yourself to get educated and then reinvesting that time into, you know, charging people for some services, get some, you know, runs on the board, and get that whatever it is you're delivering nailed down, dialed in, smoothed out, and then you amplify it up a little bit more too. Because if you suddenly just come out with a $3,000 package and you haven't sold it before, and you've just gone, here's all this, and developed this membership site and developed all this course and these resources, but you've never actually sold it, it may not sell. How do you actually know what people want? And again, there's lots in all of this of knowing your audience, who's your avatar, and then the messaging and everything flows on from there too. But yeah, it's a beautiful journey. It can be very intense at times. It can be lonely at times, and that's where networking events and training really, really help. But developing your online footprint is key in people being able to go to Google and search your name when they go do their due diligence on you to look you up. Now, I have an example in that I talked about people not being careful where they position themselves underneath someone. That's a horror story I had of my YouTube channel. I was building that for years and years and years. And I had lots of extra things in there because at the time, that was before YouTube brought in things that you could do things then that you can't do now. They put the blocks in place to stop it. But what happened is that business shut down and I lost that YouTube channel because it was under their umbrella. And I already had a separate subscription and I didn't want a second one. And I didn't realize at the time I was going to lose that YouTube channel. So I lost a course and, you know, subscribers and lots of videos and resources. I can't get back because it's from, you know, 8 years ago or something, whatever computer memory hard drive that's on. So it's very important about having your systems that you own, that you are in control of. You don't need to be owned by anyone. It's your business, your idea, and it's investing in yourself and then selling it and then reinvesting the profits or the proceeds back into more. And mentoring is a really big thing. So I'm happy to have conversations. I have a free chat available for people that they can connect with me. I'd also recommend grabbing a copy of my book, which is on the website indemandboss.com, and you go to the buy the book tab and there's a signed copy one that you can get there that I send out with a little extra special bonus that goes in it, or you can buy it through Amazon as well if you're overseas, and there is a $5 Kindle version as well. So it's very achievable to get it, and the first 7 chapters are really about you taking responsibility and ownership to own your ship. There might be a little play on that word ship, so you've got to own it, because a lot of times I've worked with some business owners and they haven't wanted to take responsibility. So I work with them and go, here's what you need to be responsible for. I'm not here to run your business and everything. I'm here to support you to run your business. So anyway, yeah, there's lots in that, and I could talk and talk and talk and talk, but I'll go quiet for a moment.
Do you have something for listeners, maybe just your link to some of ebook or something like that, like your freebie, maybe for listeners who will listen to this podcast on many platforms, on Amazon, Apple, Spotify, Podcaster, FM Player, Google Podcast, public radio, you know, if you LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, maybe if you have something for people, just for listeners to share with them, I will put all those links in your website and all links to your social media that listeners can connect with you, that you can help them. Just that would be amazing, just to connect.
Yes, I do have a Facebook group as well that people can join. And yeah, if you go to my Facebook profile, I'm happy to receive friend requests, but please also send me a message to say, hi, I'm coming to you from Kristina, the KSM podcast, because I do get a lot of random messages that just get blocked and ignored. But my profile is also, there's all the links to all my resources there, because I walk my talk. You've got to be easy for you to click through, connect and engage in with me as well.
And you will also have, listeners, just a link to your book. So I would love to have your book. Just, is it going to hard copy or just to read it on Kindle as well? So I would love really to have in my hands your book, to be honest, and read it, because it's so valued. And you know, we all need to learn, and how, you know, every single time we'll learn. So, and I would love to hear your feedback for all you who will listen to this episode, just to write it down on in area of you should write below this podcast, this episode, your feedback about this podcast and what you think about this story, and connect with Lyndi as well, and connect with me. Just as Lyndi said, just say that you listened to this episode with Lyndi MacRae.
Yes, thank you so much.
And thank you, Lyndi. It was amazing talking to you. I'm super happy to have you as my special guest speaker. You share such amazing story, and very helpful and very useful and very impactful. And I think that we will have again, we will meet again on this podcast. Thank you so much, and have a lovely day. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.